Many years ago, when I started rabbinical school, in one of my first classes, we read the introduction to Maimonides' Mishnah Torah. Maimonides, he lived in the 1100s, he lived in Spain and in Egypt, and he wrote this book, the Mishnah Torah, and he said that once you have this book, then you don't need to do any learning at all. You just follow all of the mitzvot as they're laid out in this book, and you will be good as gold. You'll be set. But in his introduction to the Mishnah Torah, and these words, they were like seared into my head as a an early rabbinical student. He said, when I look around me across the Mediterranean at the rabbis, all I see are fools. None of them know how to study Talmud. None of them know what the mitzvot are, and I will solve the problem of today's poor rabbis by writing this book. You will never have to go talk to another rabbi again. Joke's on Maimonides. But what happened to his book, the Mishnah Torah? Well, some people really enjoyed it because, yes, it tells you everything that you need to do as a Jew in the modern world, and that applies from both the 1100s and today. But also a lot of people burned his book, and they were like, no, down with Maimonides. We need the rabbis. So I, as a young rabbinical student, I thought to myself, this guy, Maimonides, he was definitely skeptical of the amount of learning and knowledge that was around him at the time. He was skeptical of the rabbis that were being produced. And I said cynically to the other rabbinical students next to me, it's like, how would Maimonides feel about us? And it became a reoccurring muttering that I would have in the 5 years of rabbinical school. We would learn about this guy who lived in this place in this century, whether it was Poland in the 1300s, or it was Morocco in the 1100s, or this place and that place, and I would turn to the person sitting next to me, often someone who is part of the LGBTQ community, like myself, often another woman in our class of 15 rabbinical students, and I would say, would this guy like us? Would this guy enjoy the rabbis that we are becoming? And I thought it was funny. Maybe other people in my class found it annoying, as I would keep on asking this question. Would they want to meet us? Would they want to come to our synagogues? Would they want to be studying Talmud with us? And as I was looking at our Torah reading this week, I think that I judged our sages poorly. I think I judged the rabbis of the past unfairly. And I let Maimonides' words at the beginning of the Mishnah Torah kind of stand in for every single rabbi that existed over the last 2,000 years. What did I see in this week's Torah reading that made me question myself? In a good way, a good kind of questioning. Well, in this week's Torah, we see that Moses sends troops to go look out at the land, to look at this land of Israel, that the people, Bnei Israel, the ancient Israelites, they have never set foot in Israel. They have never been there. They have spent, according to the myth, they've spent 400-ish years in slavery. So they don't know what this place is. Yeah, any of us who have taken El Al over to Israel, we knew more than they did. We know more than they did. So Moses sends out these scouts, and the Torah tells us they go here and they go there, and they're traveling from the top of the land to the bottom of the land. They're seeing where are the cities, where is it fortified, what is the agriculture like, where are the forests, blah, blah, blah. They're charting the land. And then the Torah tells us that one of these 12 scouts breaks off from the rest and goes by himself to the city of Hebron. Now, it's very peculiar. Why would this guy, Caleb, why would he separate from everyone else in order to go to Hebron? So the later Midrash looks at that section of the Torah and says, oh, Caleb was going to pray at Maharat HaMachpelah. Caleb was going to pray at the cave of the patriarchs and the matriarchs in Hebron. How did he know where it was? Oral tradition of 400 years. Okay, Sonia, you're going to have to play along with the rabbis. How did he know where it was? Okay, the rabbis, though, they want to say, why did Caleb go to visit Hebron after, right, how would he know where it was? Why would he go there? He didn't know Abraham. He didn't know Sarah. It's been hundreds of years, according to the myth, hundreds of years since any of those people existed. But the rabbis want us to imagine that he keeps on being in relationship with his past. He keeps on being in relationship with his ancestors. Even if his reality as a freed slave is different than Abraham or Sarah's or Rivka, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah, all of the matriarchs and patriarchs, he still goes to their kever. He goes to the place where they're buried, and he seeks wisdom from them. He enters into conversation with them. He invites their spirits to guide him in this new process of guiding Bnei Israel, of entering into the land. And when I looked at this section of the Torah, I really felt like I had judged my spiritual ancestors unfairly. And I wanted to allow myself to be more like Caleb, to allow myself to show up, to be in conversation with the memories of all of our sages who have lived and who have taught and have brought their unique Torah, and to assume that instead of Rambam, instead of Maimonides, who kind of felt like all the new rabbis were like not that great, that maybe other people would be super excited. That if I showed up in Hebron or in some of the other places where our sages are buried, and I stood at their kever, at their grave, and I said, hello, my name is Rabbi Zaslow, and I am the assistant rabbi of Beth El congregation, maybe they would say, yes, this is the project. This is what we were hoping for. This is what we want. We want a Judaism that is alive and vibrant, that changes with our world. So Yasher Koach. Oh, with this Pride Shabbat, it's easy to fall into this mistake, that what we're doing is new, or that what we're doing wouldn't have been accepted in the past. But I think that this week's Torah reading is telling us exactly the opposite. That we get to be who we are, and we get to celebrate our past, and celebrate all the sages of our tradition. May we be blessed to do that this Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.